Merry Christmas, everybody.
City sidewalks, busy sidewalks, dressed in holiday style.
That's enough of that. Welcome
Yeah,
back
And a
to Hoops
happy
HD.
Festivus.
Welcome back
well,
to Hoops HD. Christmas Eve. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays to everybody out there.
but there's
And
no Diamond Head.
but there is under the radar, Griggs.
Yes, yeah.
I'm Chad Sherwood, John Sleeka, David Griggs with me. We are here for our Hoops HD under the radar Christmas Eve special. Uh, what are we doing tonight, Griggs?
Well, we're running through the 22 under the radar conferences, which are the regularly one bid leagues. There's no rule that says they can't get more than one bid, but they typically, more often than not, just get one. There's also no rule that says the conferences on the regular Hoops HD report should get more than one bid. But anyway, under the radar, it's the 22 regular one bid leagues.
This is a huge Christmas gift from us to you. Normally, we only do 21 of them, or no, we
Yeah.
only do 22. Anyhow, we like to start with the feature conference, and I thought, why don't we start out with one that we have not yet featured, and probably at the end of the day is going to end up being the best of all of these conferences.
The
Why don't we
American?
start? No,
Yeah.
because that would be right below the conference. It's our feature conference today, Stalika. I would start with the Missouri Valley Conference tonight, which has four teams that are making a lot of noise so far early this season, including Belmont, who had a nice road win out at UC Irvine this past week.
Yeah, Belmont's probably been the most impressive team if you pull them up. The win at UC Irvine, their only loss, a home loss to Richmond. One of the things that they're sort of lacking in terms of making a run at the bubble is sort of that tier one or tier two win, but they've
Or game.
collected a lot of, yeah, they've collected a lot of change, like the wins at Middle Tennessee, neutral floor against Toledo. College at Charleston's been a little disappointing, but one of the things about them is 7 wins away from home, or is it 8? It's 8. Wow. Yeah, because they won yesterday. I was thinking it was 7. That's pretty impressive.
I got seven. I don't know where the eighth is, but I got seven on my count.
Okay.
But uh,
Maybe he's already counting Indiana State as a win.
maybe
Times.
I got five and
St.
zero road,
Francis
two and
was
zero.
neutral.
Yes, that's
Yeah,
seven.
they're so 6
Five,
and 0 on the road and 2 and 0
five. They're
neutral.
five. They're 5-0 on the road, Griggs, but that's okay.
But the screen looks like it says 6.
I see at Middle, at Irvine, at Charleston. We're not going to sit here and do math for the show, but it definitely says a road
We will
five and
we
zero,
will we will
neutral two
go
and
over
zero up
this
there.
for an hour. Oh, okay, so it is 5. All right.
Yeah, 7-0 away from home though, which is pretty impressive. And you know, the real test doesn't really come until January 7th at Northern Iowa, which maybe we'll go to Northern Iowa next, Salika. That's another big story
Oh,
here. You know, three losses, tough loss at St. Mary's, which could have been so huge for them had they picked it up a couple days ago.
Well, one of the common threads that both Belmont and Northern Iowa have is a win at UC Irvine. Northern Iowa managed to do it in overtime, and then we had Belmont just basically blow the anteaters out of the sun. Now, other than that, their best win is going to be at home against Oakland, and their other tier three is going to be a win at UIC, which is also along the cut line, so that could end up being a tier four later on. But that
this is
home
a
game again. Go ahead.
This is a really dangerous Northern Iowa team. The profile doesn't really indicate it on the surface. They actually had a lead. It was close, but I think they led at St. Mary's for about 30 minutes, and all the way. It wasn't until the few final seconds where they were fouling that it extended out to 5. They had when the shot clock was off. Northern Iowa still had a chance to win that game. Losing on a neutral floor to Tulsa, they were in that game, and then Wichita was in overtime. So, I mean, they're really, really close, just really a couple plays away from being undefeated. I
Yeah,
still really like this team. I just wish their profile reflected it a little bit more. Had they gotten that win at St. Mary's, I think we're talking about them in a completely different way.
well, I think that's kind of a good news, bad news for both these teams in terms of a potential at-large bid. The good news is there actually will be some shots for quality wins in conference. The bad news is you've got tough games in conference, and I don't think that either of these teams can blow through the league because there's two other teams we still got to discuss here.
Yeah.
Starting with Illinois State, sitting here with only three losses, and all of them close ones as well.
Yeah, all of them in the first 8 days of the season. as well. The USC, they didn't really play well against USC or Utah State. I think we were big on this team coming into the year, and to see them lose in those games, I guess that was the second or third week. They kind of let us down a little
Yeah,
bit.
only the USC game was only blowout though. You were kind of in that Utah State game a little bit by the end, at least.
Yeah. And but they've won all the rest. It was hard to win at Southern Illinois. They went there and did it. I think that by the second or third week of the year, I'd written them off a little bit, but they have not lost since then.
Uh,
But with
and
four teams potentially having nets in the top 75, there's going to be really four chances for, well, maybe three since you can't really play yourself.
Yeah.
yeah, well, Stalika, let's talk about Murray State. That's the fourth one there, and they're the one with the most top two tier wins. They've got two of them. Uh, beating Akron and George Washington on neutral courts.
Well, the win against Akron probably going to look the best by far. GW kind of torpedoed themselves with a home loss against Delaware about a week and a half ago. Of course, the strength of schedule is very respectable since they at least took a couple shots against McNeese and SMU, but unfortunately came out on the losing end. This was also a team that beat Xavier during the exhibition season, but that was basically when beating the Musketeers had become a pastime. Too bad it's not going to count.
Mhm. Yeah, but
I don't know how much it would have helped them if it did.
honestly, if that middle game had been a win, this is an interesting profile at this point in the season.
Yeah, it was, and
That
that's
middle loss
one.
is
God, that was another one they kind of blew, and they were really playing well. They'd come off that. I mean, that was down in on Flow Hoops down in I think it was the Cayman Islands, and they go out there and they had played well against McNeese. They had beaten the next day. They come out and beat GW, which was a big win for them. That middle game, though, yeah, you're right. It would have been a really interesting profile, and that one's kind of sinking them a little bit. Just goes to show you that what you do in another country over Thanksgiving can hurt you.
yes. Uh,
Uh,
and let's not rule out. I mean, I
and
think
I've got
there's
lots of experience with that, doing things in other countries that hurt me.
at the end of the day, I think there is talent on Bradley. I think there is talent on Drake, and I think Southern Illinois has shown some life at times this season also. So
At
this is a pretty
times.
deep conference.
Yeah. Illinois Chicago, who we had kind of written off, has even had a couple moments, despite only being 3-8 against D1. UIC.
They've
But
they've been competitive in games. I'll put it that way. Maybe that's the
yeah.
way to put it.
But I guess one of the things is how I mean when you look at really the entire top half of the league, Northern Iowa, Bradley, I'm not as impressed by, but Murray State, Illinois State, how good are they, and can one of them play their way inside the bubble? And Jesus, Northern Iowa just a couple of such close missed opportunities.
Like I said, I mean, if somebody wins this conference by two or three games, one of these four teams, I think they're
Yeah,
there inside the bubble. But
yeah,
I don't think any of these four teams are good enough. I think they're going to all kind of knock each other off, and we may end up
because
with
they
like a
got to go on
three-way
the
tie.
road.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so.
We got some conference games coming up. It's coming up on Monday here, but including Belmont is going to Indiana State, Northern Iowa hosting Valpo. So they're not
Illinois
matching.
State at Drake is a little bit of a tough one. Murray should get Southern Illinois at home. Valpo's had they've had a much better than expected year. I'll put it that way. Still
They're,
not good.
they're at UNI, Evansville, Bradley, and Stalika. I know you're going to be intently watching Illinois Tech at UIC.
Unfortunately, Illinois Tech is not part of the Valley right here.
Give it a couple of years. Let's jump to the rest of the leagues here in alphabetical order. We'll start off with the America East. A lot of red on the screen this week. It was not a very
Oof.
good week as we wind down non-conference play here. And
Yeah,
I
I was
mean,
ready to sing Vermont's praises, and then they went out against Siena and got
Iona.
beaten. Yeah, and, and got that win, but couldn't get it done at home against Iona.
Yeah, and just when you thought maybe some other teams might have some life, they all come up short this week. It's
Yeah, I
I
still
thought
like Vermont to win the league, but phew.
They were just being good Samaritans trying to make sure other teams went into Christmas break on a winning note.
Yeah, I guess
well
so.
Vermont sitting here with a 176 net, which probably puts you in or very close to going to Dayton.
Yeah,
But the good news for them is Other than UMBC at 283, everyone else is sub 300 in the conference. So that kind of tells you where this league is right now.
Although it
Yeah,
is kind of funny seeing Binghamton near the bottom, just so we can rehash the great debate of what was it, 2012 or 2013 before I joined the
we
Hoops
got that
HD
wrong.
crew.
I am making a motion to switch that.
Th-
15 years.
This is a battle of who was the worst team in D1 that year, and it's still a point of contention. Won our Centenary Award for worst team in D1. Here's the upcoming schedule for the week. Vermont going to Princeton on Tuesday night. One more another non-conference game here for
They
them.
should get that one.
It'll
Other
be a
than
good
that, not a whole lot to be excited about here.
the Battle of
UMBC,
Maine.
a winnable road win at Coppin State. UMass Lowell, not a winnable road game in Iowa.
I'm pretty sure New Hampshire and Nebraska is not a winnable one either.
No, New Hampshire anywhere pretty much isn't.
Um, Over in the A-Sun Conference, another conference with a lot of red on the profile from this week. Uh, I think it's kind of another league here. Sleeper has been kind of waiting for us to get into conference play, but I mean, when you look at records, you look at ratings, I think you got to look at Lipscomb at this point.
Lipscomb probably the one team that's worth looking at, considering they're at least 500 against D1 competition. I want to say Austin P did have a chance to get a win at Kansas City, but sadly that game got canceled because during the pregame meal, I guess their bus driver had a heart attack and ended up passing away. So
Awful.
definitely our condolences go out to the Austin P community.
Yeah, that was rough. Such a sad story. I agree with you completely there. Um,
Yeah. A little bit of a shout out here. They're not very good. I don't know what they'll do in the conference, but Bellarmine probably having their best week of the season so far. A 15-point win over a pretty good Chattanooga team after showing no signs of life at all prior to that. And then in the second half, for much of the second half, they were within single digits at Kentucky.
Yeah, so maybe Bellarmine will have some life here. I think the other surprise for me has been West Georgia, just the fact that they've picked up 6 wins, 4 D1 wins so far. Still in
Yeah.
transition here.
Yeah, as a transitional team, but you're right, that is one of the better stories of the conference. Um, Austin P. I still like Lipscomb the most. I just think they've shown the most and they've looked the best.
So, so,
So
so
West
how?
Georgia and North Florida, is this what Joby's calling the world's largest mocktail party?
Oh, jeez. How about Monday night? Lipscomb's going to Cincinnati. I give them a
And
shot.
Cincinnati better not overlook them
I give them
because,
a bit of a shot in that game, honestly.
yeah, I kind of do too. Just because I think Cincinnati is awful.
The theme of the night is a lot of red in these in these
Ooh,
in these non-conference games. And Big Sky, the same thing here. Northern Colorado sitting here at 9-3, the best team in the conference, but they suffered a tough front range loss at home against
at
Denver over the
home,
weekend.
how about Denver so far? They've not done anything, but they have won at Colorado State and at Northern Colorado. Two really good road wins for them. This one was sort of inexplicable. They had Northern Colorado had been looking really good. I'd been voting them into my top 10. I think everybody else had too. And to drop a home game against Denver, it's just kind of a head scratcher. Now, I still like them better than pretty much everyone else in the league. You got to kind of keep an eye on Montana. I think some of that has been their struggle. I would have said that, but then they lost at home to Montana Tech. Um,
Unfortunately,
Awful loss
yeah,
to an NAIA team. I think it was the first NAIA win over a D1 school all season. So
yeah.
I'm just
So
going to give a bit of a spoiler alert. I did not have NOCO in my top 10 this week.
yeah, I didn't either.
I actually meant to put Montana Tech in mine, but I forgot to. So
Yeah. I still think Northern Colorado is the best team, but God, you're holding your nose over with that loss at home to Denver.
yeah, Idaho showing a little bit of life, a road win at Cal Poly, and maybe they've got something this year. Their numbers say that they're probably the second best team in the conference.
Yeah. God, this is normally a really fun league, but yet you're right about them, which is kind of crazy to say. And they have that big win in that huge rivalry series with Wazoo.
Only one game of note involving conference teams over the next 7 days. It's kind of interesting one. Northern Colorado, can they bounce back and win at Colorado in another front range game here?
Yeah. A lot of front range games this year. They didn't bring back the full series, but
Sleek, over in the Big South Conference, uh, there hasn't been much, but High Point maybe got a little bit going this week here. Wins over both LaSalle and Bryant.
It does put them back in the top 100 in the net for the time being. Now, the other side of the coin is their strength of schedule is also in the bottom 10 in the country. This is still a team that's going to be in the top 100 in terms of tempo, but also that. And the scary thing is that non-conference schedule of 359, that's still with two non-D1 games and one more non-D1 against Pfeiffer.
yeah,
It's kind of disappointing here because I think talent-wise, Griggs, this team probably could have been contended for an at-large bid. They had
yeah,
a
I
couple
agree.
tough losses, but the schedule was, I mean, I get it's hard to schedule games, but, you know, they couldn't find anybody to go play a road bye game at other than at
Yeah,
UAB.
I find that hard to believe. And as weak as the schedule is, you had that game at UAB circled, thinking it was going to be their toughest win, like what could have been their best win, and they go out there and they lose it and lost it
Badly.
badly. And they weren't really in the game. I mean, and then to drop two more against teams that are so far from the bubble that they can't see it with binoculars. This has been a disappointing year. I know that's a weird thing to say about a top 100 under the radar team that's won 11 games. They haven't played on the road. I find it hard to believe that they couldn't have done a better job scheduling than that. You can have two thoughts in your head at the same time. It is hard for them to schedule. It is unfairly difficult for them to schedule. But with that said, they could have put together a better schedule than that.
I mean, even if you're going on the road to a couple more American teams or A10 teams or CUSA
Yeah,
teams. At least they're tier three-ish games as opposed to piling up the Bryants, Canisiuses, and JITs at home, that type of stuff.
yeah.
Um,
And you would like to think that those Missouri Valley teams that have the same issue, or the Big West teams that have the same issue, uh, they could get games there. What we really need is just a more like no more non D1 games. The NCAA needs to stop allowing those.
yeah, but uh, other than that game against Pfeiffer, they're going to be going to conference play. And the good news for them is I think they steamroll through this league. Winthrop has
I
shown
think they do
some life.
too.
Other than that, I don't see much.
Winthrop has shown some life, and I think that they're good enough to keep pace with High Point simply because I don't think they're quite as good as High Point, but I think they're good enough to where they're better than everyone else to where they'll beat everybody else and keep pace with them.
Here's the upcoming schedule, including next Wednesday. We will be probably doing our Under the Radar show a little bit before that game tips off, so we can highlight it more. But one of our favorite rivalries, it
Yes,
is round one of the Winwood Cup.
the Windward.
A great way
With a
to end 2025.
We're
Yeah.
going out at a bang, New Year's Eve Winwood Cup action. How about that? What a call, Sleek. Griggs, over in the Big West Conference, uh, UC San Diego
Oof.
home game against San Diego. Now, I'm not going to write them off because of that. It was a in city rivalry game, but it was a tough loss.
It was a real tough loss against a team that I think they're clearly better than and that they clearly should have beaten at home. I'm not writing them off. They're no worse. It didn't change my opinion of them. It's just that they picked a bad day to have a bad day.
Yeah, and here they are. They've got that. I mean, that is a quad four loss now. The close
Yes.
loss at Nevada, but they have a pile of tier three, one tier two win. And those road games in conference, there's just a few of them should go into the tier two column if they can pick up those wins also.
Yeah, I think so too. I still really like this league. It's a really fun league, and it's hard to win on the road in this league. UC Irvine's been kind of a disappointment, but UC San Diego's look good, or UC Santa Barbara's look good at times. Hawaii, while playing an atrocious schedule, they're good, and it's not easy to win there.
Uh,
So, I mean, there's certainly going to be challenges.
here's my problem with Hawaii. I know you like them. I know you've been voting them in your top 10, Griggs. They haven't don't have a win outside of tier four home wins.
No,
That's all they
and
have. And I
no,
kind of
that,
I
yeah,
don't think you're the top 10 under the radar school, quite frankly, if all you've done is win tier four home games.
yeah, and I'm not voting for their schedule.
They
And
better
they
not be.
certainly don't have the merit to be in the top 10. I just think that they're good. We'll see what they do when they finally, like, four of their next five are on the road. If they can win three of those, then suddenly your opinion of them changes.
and if they can, we'll talk about them at that point. But
Yeah,
I'm not quite ready to jump on the Hawaii bandwagon yet. I am on that UC San Diego bandwagon though.
yeah, me too.
Upcoming this week, we get some conference play coming up here. I think actually won't be until the middle of next week. So
Yeah,
last
yeah.
few batch of bye games: Fullerton at SMU, Northridge at Stanford.
Yeah, this
And meanwhile,
conference.
I was gonna say I
Well,
want to congratulate UC Irvine for at least winning the Sun Bowl Classic, and I don't know if they sang some Sun Bowl carols for the puppet to make up for the lack of Diamond Head carols this year.
why did
City sidewalks, busy
during this Diamond
sidewalks,
Head game,
dressed in hot.
it's just so hard. All these Diamond Head carols.
Let's Salika, how about over the CAA, where we've been praising this Bill and Mary team. They did pick up a win over Radford. UNC Wilmington, another team been looking at. They actually lost the home game to Howard.
Oh wow.
That's one that will torpedo the numbers for the Seahawks. But we had also on the regular show been singing the praises of Hofstra for at least managing to get a couple wins at Pitt and Syracuse, so they can at least have a 2-0 record against the ACC. Now, if you
And
look at what they did last Sunday, they do get a respectable win at home against Quinnipiac.
yeah, Hofstra is on fire. I know they dropped some games early. I think their schedule was noticeably tougher than certainly Wilmington's. Just about everyone was. But you start to look at them and like this is a really good team.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
maybe you sort of missed it initially because they came out the first couple weeks of the season losing. Was it they lost three of their first four or whatever it was, but they've been on a roll since then.
but they lost opening night by at UCF only by 4 points. They lost at Columbia by two, single digits at Iona, at Temple. It would have been nice if they picked up one or two more of those wins, but
Yeah,
this is going to be a dangerous team as we get into conference play, along with Bill and Mary, along with Wilmington, and quite
yeah.
frankly, I'm starting to keep a lot bigger
Yeah,
look here
Alon
on
was
this.
the other team. Yeah.
How about this game? They lose by they take Vatech to overtime, lose by a point.
Yeah, after having a lead for part of that game and just being right with them. And this Elon team has looked really good. Another tough road loss at Marshall. They were right in that one. Miami kind of blew them out. But I think if you're asking me who looks the best and who I would, favor going in the conference, as much as we've talked about Bill and Mary and UNCW. Right now, I think it's Elon and Hofstra.
I'll throw one more at you here.
Townsend,
There,
another good team.
I'm gonna go College of Charleston. This team was beat up early. Their numbers don't reflect it. They're starting to put together wins. They knocked off the Citadel. They won at NKU this past week. Uh, let's not overlook this Charleston team as we get into conference play and they get a little bit healthier.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
sure
and
that
then
was a nice homecoming for Chris Mack headed to NKU.
mhm. Yeah, yeah, I guess it was. I didn't even think about that.
Nice homecoming, a nice win for him.
Yeah,
Uh, Upcoming this week, some interesting games to start off conference play here on Monday, including Towson going to Bill and
that's a
Mary.
really good game.
And what else do we have here? Then Charleston going to Elan here coming up on next Wednesday. So there's some interesting games as we get into conference play. Get those Flow Hoop subscriptions.
Yeah, you'll need it. It's worth it. This is a good league.
Sleek over at CUSA. Well, where do you want to go here? What's your story this week?
Well, Western Kentucky looked like they were
Mm,
on the verge of getting a win at home against Tulsa, but unfortunately gave up a three-pointer at the end of the regulation and missed out on a golden opportunity to get a big win. Now, on the other hand, Liberty did go to Dayton, which is usually one of the tougher places to win, and they hit a bucket with about 16 seconds to go to give them a three-point margin.
Yeah, and
yeah,
this is a Liberty team we really liked heading this season. They'd kind of disappointed a little bit. Maybe that win kind of turns things around. They head to conference play here, Griggs.
I think it will. And one of the first thoughts I had after that Liberty game, after that win at Dayton, is where was this before now? Like this was a really talented roster. It was deep. It was experienced, and I mean, I know that North Carolina State on the road is not, and it wasn't that they lost it. It's that basically by the under 16 timeout, that was not a game.
Of the first
And
half. of the
Yeah,
first half.
of the first half. So, I mean, I think that they finally showed that they can play at the level that they could play at the level that we thought they could back in October before the season started. And I guess it's better late than never. But it's gonna be, even if they blow through CUSA, is there enough there?
Oh, for an at-large bid, I think what torpedoes them more is those losses they had to Bradley and Towson
Yeah,
in the that was in the down in Orlando, that one of those ESPN events.
yeah. I mean, and really
Events.
did not play well in that event at all. Western Kentucky has looked really good. God, they missed an opportunity against Tulsa, but and not only did they miss it, it was this almost Bryce Drewish type of ending to where you just couldn't believe that Tulsa executed that play to win the game.
Yeah, so congrats, to Tulsa on that. That's probably what kept Tulsa and their entire conference off of this show here tonight.
Yeah, off the show.
Upcoming here, we got on some conference play getting back in. We've had a few conference games already. Some more conference play coming up here Sunday and Monday. Western Kentucky at Jacksonville State, Liberty at FIU might be worth keeping an eye on both those games. The
Yeah,
two
I'm
newcomers to the conference, Missouri State, Delaware Monday also.
yeah, opening against each other.
And I think we
Salika.
had teased earlier, Delaware was also coming off of a win at GW. I might give them a slight edge at home right here.
I think it's good. I think it'll be a good game. Griggs, over in the Horizon League, where we don't have any. Well, we actually have a couple teams with winning D1 records. Not a lot of them here, but Milwaukee and Oakland out to 2-0 starts in league play. And even though they're 5-7 overall, I think Oakland is going to end up being the team to beat in this league at the end of the day.
Yeah, they're really really good, and I thought they didn't get the win against Michigan State, obviously, but they really competed in that game. My only thought watching that, other than my God, those sweaters are atrocious, which is I know the point, was no one else in the Horizon League looks anywhere close to as good as Oakland.
Just for
They,
that, Griggs, we're going to give you the naughty list sweater.
What
I
makes you
thought.
think I'm on that? Don't answer that.
But look at that strength of schedule. It's the number one non-conference strength of schedule in the entire nation. I mean, they played
Yeah,
at Michigan, at Purdue, Michigan State, at Houston. This is a ridiculous
yeah. They
schedule
had
they
a week
play.
where they played two number one teams in the same week, and it was two different teams.
Yes,
And
only team that's ever done that.
yeah, and I know that well against Michigan in particular, they got beaten pretty badly. But other than that game, they kind of held their own. Maybe not so much against Houston, but they kind of represented themselves well in all of those.
I think as we get into league play here, they start out, well, they've won a couple already, but at Wright State, at Youngstown State coming up, this team might
Yeah,
start pulling away from the rest of the league. I mean, you
by a
just,
lot. I just don't think anybody else. Youngstown was a fun story. I still love my Penguins. Oakland might blow through this league.
yeah, I mean, Wright State has shown some signs of life at time, including they beat the Eastern Michigan team that beat Oakland. So, that was,
Yeah.
but we'll see as we
It's like,
get
what
into league play.
happened to Cleveland State, though? Just a couple of years ago, Dennis Gates had this
Oh
team
man,
at the
they
top
were
of the
yeah.
league.
God, they've fallen apart.
Conference play coming up Monday night here. Oakland is at Wright State, among other games here. So that's actually a big one here. That may be one of the best games in the conference all season, Oakland at Wright
Yeah,
State.
yeah. So Monday gonna be a big day.
Is this a conference game also on Tuesday, Milwaukee at Wisconsin?
Yeah, yes, it is
Okay.
conference game.
Stalika, how about a little Ivy League?
I'm just wondering if this is going to be a year where is Cornell going to, or not Cornell, Columbia going to fall apart again once the Ivy League starts, or are they going to actually follow up on what's been a strong non-conference schedule here?
I've been
Now,
wondering
granted,
that all year.
now nothing wrong with losing at Cal. It was certainly a missed opportunity, but at least they get to go across the country before Christmas break.
Yeah, they did get that trip there. We saw yesterday St. John's not pretty much demolished Harvard, but I mean Yale obviously the story they didn't play this past week, sitting here at 11-1, getting votes even in the coaches poll. Not a lot of them, but a couple votes there.
Yeah, and I really think this is a legit, very good Yale team. I wish they could have played a tougher schedule to
Well,
try and
coming up
demonstrate that a little
Monday
more.
night. Monday night.
If they win that game, that's probably like I mean that's hitting the jackpot. I don't know. Maybe we get all sevens and they pull off the upset of all upsets. Um, but this is a really good Yale team. I think they are one of the 40 best teams in the country. I don't know if their profile will be one of the 40 best profiles, but Yale's good. I know you guys like Columbia. I don't think anybody in this conference can touch Yale.
Columbia non-conference game at North Florida coming up this weekend. Brown with an Ocean State game against Johnson and Wales Law Firm of Rhode Island.
Oh, yes.
Yale at Alabama, obviously the game there. Uh,
Yeah.
Griggs, let me stick with you over in the Metro Atlantic,
Yeah.
where we've got it. We're getting into conference play here, and we've
We
got
are.
five teams at 2-0 already.
Yeah, and one of them is Quinnipiac. And Chad, it's going to happen this year. They are not going to let us down. They are not going to collapse. This is finally the year Quinnipiac wins the league.
Could be. I'll tell you that I mean, Marist I like, Siena's shown
Where
life, and
Siena has shown life,
Iona
albeit not
with
in the
that,
last game.
Iona with that win at Vermont has now shown me life too.
Yeah, not that. Yeah, the win at Vermont was really good, and Iona kind of coming on strong now that you kind of mention it. So, um, I still like. I'm sentimental. I need Quinnipiac, but when's that? My Illinois Manhattan game. That's the best rivalry of all. But
Iona Manhattan will be playing not till much later in the season, January
yeah,
24th and
that's
March
normally at the
1st.
end, and then they close against each other.
Yeah, it's also been a while since Marist has made the big dance, but it seems
Uh,
like they can never catch a break in the
have
conference
they ever?
tournament either.
1987.
Okay, I guess they. I didn't realize they'd ever been.
That might have been when Rick Smits was at Marist. I'd have to
Yeah.
look it up.
That is a big one coming up again on Monday against Quinnipiac. I know you already mentioned that one.
Yeah, Marist at Quinnipiac here coming up. Iona's at Mount St. Mary's. Manhattan's
Mhm.
at Ryder. St. Peter's at Fairfield. Fairfield showed a little life. They got a win at Central Connecticut, who is probably the best
Yeah,
team
who's
in the
had a
Northeast
really good year.
Conference.
Yeah.
Uh, who are we up to here? Stalika, you're our MAC guy, so I'll go to you for the MAC. And how about that undefeated Mother Miami team?
Well, this is a team that did have a bit of a tough opener at Ball State, but they managed to survive and get their first win. And you also look at a team like Bowling Green, who also had a very respectable non-conference schedule. They also managed to get the win at down in Athens against OU, which is, even though the Bobcats are down, that's never an easy game to win down there in conference play.
They're
I'll tell you,
entering a stretch after Christmas that is really going to test them. Look at the three of their next four games at Bowling Green, Akron at home, who I really like, and then they go to Toledo, who is tough to beat on the road. No one they've played so far this year is as good as any of those three teams. I still like Miami. Obviously, they were my preseason pick to win the league. I am not I mean, I'm smart enough to know that they haven't played anybody worth mentioning
well,
other
well
than
Here's where
the,
I have a
the,
major beef with the conference right here. This was Akron and Miami were your top two teams last year. Why are they only playing once this year?
well,
yeah.
let me take two other issues here with this team. Number one, first of all, I do have to say it's impressive to have five wins away from home that are in Tier 4. It's hard to get a Tier 4 road win, so
Yeah.
it's not hard to play. Most of your road games end up being Tier 3 just because of the extra credit for being on the road. But the other big news out of Miami, Ohio, is their second best player, Evan Ipsaro, went down with an ACL tear in the non-D1 game against Milligan of all places.
Oh man,
And he's done for the season here. So
I actually had not heard about that until
yeah,
just now.
yeah,
Oh
Psarro
my
is
God.
gone for the year. So unfortunately for Miami, I think it's a great story. I think it may start falling apart without him unless somebody else could step up and fill that void. I
That's
And
mean,
you look at
you
their
really hate
first
to see
game.
it.
Yeah, you look at their first game after Christmas break at Bowling Green. That suddenly just got a lot tougher if Ipsaro's not going to be in the lineup going forward.
Yeah, and don't overlook like Bowling Green, Kent State, and Akron are all really good too.
Yeah, Akron, the other team that I really focus in on this conference. Just they don't have. They probably have more wins of note than Bowling Green does, in all honesty. But
Yeah. Went to Yale, played Yale really tough. We just got done talking about it wasn't at Yale, but we just got done talking about how much we like them, and they were in that game with Murray State recently, at least for part of it. So Akron's good.
upcoming games in the conference here, we are going to be getting back into conference play come Tuesday after a Kent State Purdue game on Monday. And a big one though is that Miami Ohio Bowling Green game that Salika mentioned.
Yeah.
Other team, as we get into conference play, obviously don't overlook this UMass in this conference as
Yeah.
well. I
Yeah.
they've shown some signs of life this season also.
They have, yeah. In Ohio,
Before
while haven't showing signs of life, they've been disappointing, but I still think that they've showed because they did have a big win that even Ohio can have a high ceiling and can step up and beat teams that overlook them. It's this league's always fun. It always is.
Unfortunately for UMass, they did lose their MAC opener against Kent State, but they should be able to get to 1-1 with a road trip to Eastern Michigan coming up.
We are not going to the top 10 list yet. Where are we going? Miak. Griggs, take it away.
All right. Well, I mean, one of the stories is Howard. They continue they picked up another big win at UNC Wilmington. That is probably probably hands down the best win that anybody in the conference has managed. They've looked better than everybody else. I know that some of these records have major, major asterisks next to them because they've really just been playing road bye games. But as much as we always seem to like Norfolk State, has anybody even looked like they're within 100 miles of Howard?
Well, I'll tell you, Norfolk State. Norfolk State played 4 games this past week. They started off in that Chris Paul HBCU Classic, getting blasted by Grambling, bouncing back to beat Jackson State. They did pick up a true road win at UTEP as part of that Sunbolt event before losing to Irvine in the championship. So,
That's four
I think,
games in 5 days. That is
yeah,
a very tough
that was
stretch.
a tough stretch to go 2-2 in that stretch, including a true road win in there. I don't. That's not that bad.
No,
I
that's
think I
good.
think Norfolk will be there right there. I think it'll be these two teams at the end of the day.
Yeah. But Howard, they had played a weaker schedule. That's how they were able to get as many D1 wins as they had. But to win at UNC Wilmington, that's a hard game to win, and they went and won it.
And don't forget, Howard also won twice at
Oh
Cameron Indoor
yes,
Stadium this year.
yes, they've won twice at Cameron. I mean, just an incredible season they're
Not many teams that could go 2-1 at Cameron on the season. They did.
having. No, yeah.
Uh,
I
I
mean,
mean,
as good as Texas Tech is, they've only won once. Well, and it wasn't even at Cameron.
it was I think it was the Hampton win and the Niagara win. Both came at Cameron.
Yeah.
Uh, Upcoming this week, we've got Howard at Northwestern on Tuesday. Griggs, you calling the upset?
No.
How about Norfolk State of Louisiana? That could be an upset.
Yeah, I think that is a winnable game for them. Louisiana not that strong.
Slika, over in the Northeast Conference, where we love this conference once we get to regular season conference play, and we're almost there finally.
Yeah.
Yeah, Long Island had a bit of a missed opportunity on the road at FIU. They may have been distracted by one of my favorite basketball courts,
Oh,
but I think Central Connecticut State also a bit of a setback at home in the Connecticut Six against Fairfield.
Yeah, they had that setback despite having wins at both BC and at Rutgers on the season. So they've gotten a few scalps themselves. Fairleigh Dickinson right in there in that with Boston College also on Monday. BC pulled away in the last 2 minutes of that game. So and
yeah.
that would have been FU's first T1 win. I
Yeah.
mean, come on, Boston College. I think BC needs to be on this show.
I
Uh,
think they need to be in this conference where they might finish in the middle of it.
oh, geez. Upcoming games this week. A few more bye games here. New Haven's at Vanderbilt. Long Island's at Georgia. FDU is at Minnesota. Lemoyne at BC.
Hmm,
Could it happen?
I don't know.
And meanwhile, I would also like to congratulate Chicago State for starting up their football program that should be starting next year. We will be dispatching David Dorman as one of their initial season ticket holders.
Yes, this is exciting. Although, as I understand it, they have no players and no coaching staff and no schedule.
Let's move on to another conference here. Salika, the Ohio Valley Conference. Lindenwood and Morehead State. Morehead looked pretty awful in non-conference play, but they're both out to 2-0 starts.
Moorhead did have a comeback win at Southern Indiana. They managed to win that one in overtime. And as we'll get to a little bit later, they have their arch rival Alice Lloyd coming back to Moorhead, Kentucky.
We are not getting to that game. We are not discussing that game. We do not discuss non-D1 games at any length on this show. I've got to say here, Griggs, the team that kind of impressed me this week, actually, even though they only went 1-1. Well, I don't know. Maybe they did or maybe they didn't. I've been eyeing this Tennessee State team. They kind of impressed me with that win over UT Martin, who had been off to that great start. Then they lose the home game to SEMO, so I'm not certain. SEMO had lost to Tennessee Tech. Cuffs kind of seems to be all over the place, honestly.
Yeah, kind of a lot of the the first slate of conference games, the teams that I kind of liked, UT Martin certainly, SIUE, I liked them, and SEMO, who had been disappointing this year, but who I thought coming into the season would clearly be the best team, all going 1-1. And then you have a Morehead State team, like as you alluded to, that had struggled, starting off 2-0, beating Little Rock, who was the preseason favorite, and going on the road to beat Southern Indiana.
I will qualify that. Little Rock has been awful so far this season.
Yeah.
They've have a lot of injury problems, so I think Moorhead got them at the right time. And they need overtime to beat a Southern Indiana team that Little Rock then went on the road to beat. So I don't know that Southern Indiana is much of anything either.
I still think Martin has done the most as a whole this season, and I think SIUE and SEMO are right there with them. It's just we're 2 games in, and the league's a little bit upside down right now. Mm-hmm. But I'm kind of surprised that Martin dropped that game to Tennessee State. Although you had been saying that you liked them. So.
I still think Tennessee State makes some noise in this conference by the end of the year.
Now, before we move on, I want to go back to the previous games. I did notice East West was on the schedule playing Eastern Illinois. Could they not have gotten a road game at Western Illinois to finish that?
East West.
Okay. As Slika spoke about, Alice Lloyd at Morehead State won 2 games of the conference. Also, a conference game, Tennessee State at Tennessee Tech on Tuesday night. Coming up here next, we've got Griggs. We've got the Patriot League.
Yep.
Also, a conference we've been waiting for regular season play in.
Yeah, Navy flattening Coppin State, and then getting a win over whoever that is.
The Rosemont Horizon.
The Rosemont Horizon. Yep.
LMU, who I had not been big on at all, and nor had any reason to be. I don't know if George Mason just slept through their alarm or what, but they kind of hung around. It was a bit of an ugly game. At the end of the day, Navy was the team that I thought would run away from the league. And while we've seen some ups and downs and Colgate's made some noise, I still think it's going to be Navy's conference. But again, it's kind of hard to tell anything until you get in the conference play.
Yeah, talk about getting into conference play. Here it comes on Wednesday. After one more non-conference game between Harvard and Colgate, we start out with BU at Navy, Colgate at Lafayette. A couple interesting games there.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a 28-year drought for the United States Naval Academy, but we'll see if this is the year where they're finally able to break back into the NCAA tournament.
I think it is.
Yeah. Over in the SoCon. This is a conference where every time there seems to be a team that we are getting high on, they seem to lose a couple games. ETSU was that team. ETS you start liking Chattanooga, they lose to Bellarmine. You start liking East Tennessee State, they lose a home game to Jacksonville State this past week. Maybe at the end of the day, Furman, a road win at Manhattan, a home win over Charleston Southern. They had the best week.
Yeah, they certainly had the best week. They were not a team. I know Joby liked them in the preseason. They weren't a team I was that big on, but right now, are they the best team? I'll tell you another one to kind of keep an eye on is Mercer, who's, I believe, Furman's next opponent on New Year's Eve. So this league normally really strong. It's been disappointing this year. No real front runners, nobody. It should be competitive once we get into the conference play, but there's no real storylines here.
No,
But I like
we
this Mercer team. I do like Mercer.
this might be the first time in recent memory that we haven't had somebody that we talked about around this time of year as, hey, if they run through the conference, they can make a shot at the bubble.
Right, yeah.
Nobody normally does that, but we normally have somebody who's got that type of record coming
Mhm.
into conference play. We really don't
Yeah, I
have
mean,
it.
this is looking 14 seedish, 15 seedish type of a year
I
for me.
can't recall the last time I've seen a conference rank that low of 21 for the SoCon. That's
Yeah.
very
Oh man,
surprising.
that is low. And this is normally one of the better under the radar leagues.
As the conference play begins on Tuesday, as we mentioned, Wednesday, New Year's Eve, that Mercer Furman game is the game of the week here. Stalika, over in the Southland, uh, McNeese stumbled with that Incarnate Word game to start conference play, but they've been on a roll since then.
Well, not much to speak of in the past week for the
Right.
Cowboys, but you look at a team like SFA who did man it. Well, SFA and Nichols who both managed to get wins to get to 2-0 in conference play. If you look at what the Jacks have done, they get the home win against A&M Corpus Christi to get up to 2-0.
Yeah, they're sitting there 2-0. Nichols, I think that more of a benefit of who they've played so far, the fact that they're 2-0. I don't expect them to be there at the end of the season at all.
Me neither.
Oh,
New Orleans could come to life once they get in the conference play. I know that they've already dropped a conference game. Incarnate Word, it's kind of hard to just write them off when they do have that win over McNeese.
but haven't
I
won a
really
conference game
like this
since then.
McNeese team, though. I think that they had a bad game in that Incarnate Word game, but they've had some really good games this year too. You
Yeah,
know,
so
beating that Murray State, well, running through that tournament down in the Cayman Islands and beating Murray State and GW and among them, all teams we talked about.
we're getting back into conference play again with one notable exception Monday night. McNeese going to Michigan.
hmm Kind of a tall order, but we'll see.
Oh,
Hopefully
another
they
notable
keep it
exception.
within 30 or 40.
Yeah,
How about Houston Christian go to Iowa State?
kind of a tall order, but we'll see.
uh, yeah, SFA at Northwestern State and at East Texas A&M. Those are probably two games in conference play worth keeping an eye on this week. See if they can pull off get a couple of road wins. Uh,
Mm.
over in the SWAC here, Griggs. It's the SWAC, and there's a lot of red on the team sheet on the sheet here. Although I think we've got to give a shout out to Grambling going 2-0
Yeah,
to win that Chris Paul Invitational there.
yeah, and two really nice wins for them on neutral floors. Knocking off Norfolk State and Hampton, so their profile looking pretty good. Alabama State, who won the league last year, kind of trucking along and playing a lot of road bye games. Alabama A&M, not much of a history, but the 4-6 start they're looking pretty good.
They're looking pretty good. A little shout out here to Florida A&M. Got Charlie Ward gets his first D1 win at the win over Jacksonville about a week ago there too.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Jacksonville's having a rough year.
And I know this is a conference where we normally talk about can they reach 10 non-D1 wins. They've actually gotten up to 18 this year, but I don't
Yeah,
think there's going to be enough non-con where they'll be able to crack 20 though.
no, they're not gonna get there. Well, one of the changes here is with NIL money coming in here. There's some money coming into these schools actually, and they've less buy games this year. They're
yeah,
getting some non-conference D1 home games and neutral court games against teams that they're more competitive with.
yeah.
Uh, Upcoming games this week here: Prairie View at Texas A&M, FAMU's at Georgia Tech, Southern's at. We got one more batch of bye games here that are.
Yeah, another round of paychecks to, reimburse everybody for their Christmas spending.
But at least we have the OG centenary here, not the centenary from New Jersey that we
Yeah,
saw earlier.
Centenary, Louisiana, at Grambling. Uh,
yeah. You might need to
so,
highlight that one.
uh, where are we here? Sleeka over in the Summit League.
I'm
Uh,
looking at a team like St. Thomas who going to be eligible for the first time this year. They have a sparkling new facility on campus, and they're also coming off of a win against UC Riverside during the past week to go into Christmas break on a winning note.
yeah,
Well,
I'll tell
North
you that.
Dakota knocking off Winthrop. That was a surprise.
North Dakota beats Winthrop. I think the other surprise here on the bad end things, Greg, was North Dakota State. Uh,
Yes.
Going 0-2 at the Sun Bowl Classic gets, close loss to Irvine, but UTEP is not good.
No, they're
Uh,
terrible.
and even though it was a true road game, they should not have gone 0-2 in that event.
No, and like we always say, yeah, it's hard to win on the road, but if you're good, you should be able to do it, especially against a team that's as bad as UTEP.
And
And
we
of
also
course,
touched it on earlier where Denver, even though
Yeah.
they've had a disappointing D1 record, half of those wins have come in the Front Range.
Yeah, on the road.
and don't forget Monday night they gave Tulsa a game. They
They
only lost
did.
by 5 at Tulsa.
Yeah.
Uh,
So Denver might be showing some signs here.
Upcoming this week, we got some mostly bye games until a couple
Yeah.
conference games come Wednesday night. South Dakota State at Arizona,
Kansas
Omaha at
City,
Oregon.
Denver.
Yeah, why do we have the Chiefs and the Broncos on a Wednesday night game?
We got NFL action coming up from the Summit League here
Yeah.
Wednesday night. AFC West. Uh, Griggs, Sun Belt Conference, where it is now Arkansas State and Georgia Southern tied for the league lead.
Yeah,
Although
not
Troy
really
Troy is
expected.
1-0. Troy is 1-0.
Yeah, and we really like this Troy team. As far as from an entertainment value, they're unbelievable. South Alabama stumbling. They were a team that we all really liked. Marshall
South
losing.
Alabama, awful loss last week at Louisiana
Yeah,
Monroe in double overtime.
I,
Awful
I
loss.
mean, yeah, and it's just as much as we were praising them and as good as we thought they were, they lose that game, and it just you almost don't even want to talk to them about them anymore. The one thing about this league is you see how it's log jammed, and we're only 2 games in, and you might say, well, of course it's log jammed. We're only 2 games in. I wouldn't be surprised if it looked like that in March.
And
This
then when you
league,
and then when you go to the Stairway to Seven,
yeah,
super extended 7-round ladder format for the conference tournament, you could have some crazy tiebreakers being a decision between whether a team has to play 2 games to win the conference tournament or has to play 5 games to win the conference
You
tournament.
you have. I mean, we had it all last year, and it created great storylines as conference play played out. But you look at a team like James Madison, who's 0-2. I still think they can compete in the league. South Alabama, we talked about them, but they lost to one of the worst teams in the league. There's some good teams in this conference, and there's a lot of good games. And you just get the sense that every conference game has this super pivotal feel to it.
And then you look at a team like Troy who has a penchant for extended overtimes. Hopefully they're
Yeah.
not worn out before the Stairway to Seven.
Well, if they play extended overtimes in the Stairway to Seven, it'll be a hell of a story. Uh,
Yeah.
we've got a handful of bye games coming up, and then we get back into conference play come Wednesday. Uh,
Texas State at Troy.
Texas State at Troy, there's South Alabama at Louisiana, Georgia State at Marshall. Uh,
Even Louisiana has managed to win a game in
they beat
conference.
they beat Monroe though, so
Yeah.
which South Alabama could not do.
Which Alabama could not do.
Sleek over in the WAC, the 7-team WAC who's getting ready to begin their triple round robin conference schedule. Yes, everybody will play everybody else 3 times, not 2 times, for a total of 18 conference games. But Utah Valley, I mean, I think they've become the story here.
Well, this is also a team that got a nice Beehive win at home against Weber State, so that's going to be one of the highlights for them. Their win at Bowling Green, obviously getting a lot more mileage as the season goes.
Yeah, and I know we liked this California Baptist team earlier on in the season. They stumbled a few times against good
Yes.
opponents. I mean, they
Yeah.
stumbled against Utah, BYU, and Colorado. They did. It was 3 straight losses, but all against power conference schools. Making this
Yeah.
conference opener coming up here on in a couple days at Utah Valley really fascinating.
Yeah, and it's one of, as you said, 3 and maybe 4 times that they'll play each other. But that is, I mean, it's the 2 best teams by a lot, I think, and they open up against each other.
Yeah, I'm not really certain. Well, Arlington and Tarleton have shown a little bit of life at times. Abilene's shown a little bit of life. I don't think anybody else is on par with these top two.
Yeah.
I would like to
Upcoming,
congratulate Utah Tech for at least staying within 23 points of Creighton. That's a lot better than what Xavier Marquette did, relatively speaking.
Yeah.
Okay. Conference play begins Monday night with those three games there. Big one, obviously, California Baptist at Utah Valley. But that concludes our regular conferences. How about a little bit of mythical conference check-in here?
Okay, yeah, a lot of action with some of these. How about
Front
a lot of
Range
action in the Front Range? How about Denver getting out that big win at Northern Colorado?
leading the conference in conference wins at the moment.
Yep.
A little behind Wyoming in winning percentage, but that's all. And upcoming this week, though, we got a couple big games: Wyoming Air Force and Northern Colorado,
Woo-hoo!
Colorado.
Yeah. Oh, Wyoming crashing and burning. Oh my.
Meanwhile, Denver stepping out of conference on Wednesday night for an AFC West clash against.
Yeah.
We already did that one. Beehive, we had a couple games as well, and we now have a four-way tie for first place.
Yeah, and it's just getting pretty intense here in the Beehive. There's the old crew, and this conference is so rough. How is it BYU, despite their high ranking, no wins in the Beehive Conference yet? And
BYU
it's
sitting there in
just to show you
fifth place.
how tough it is.
Southern Utah, Utah Tech. Southern Utah getting their first Beehive action of the season here coming up this
Yeah.
week.
Hmm.
Yeah, finally a game that Weber State cannot lose in the Beehive.
Back range, we've got Arizona, Arizona State, and New Mexico State all tied for first in the conference, but no action coming up this week.
Yeah.
Top range, we had Wazoo's win over Eastern Washington, which puts them into third place behind Boise and Idaho.
Yeah, Wazoo having sort of a big win out of conference, but not a top range game. How about
Those are the rest of the upcoming games for this week. Nothing in conference. And finally, my craziest conference of all, the Conference of Champions.
yeah,
And how about Cal, sitting there and undefeated at 2-0 at top of the standings?
having a really good year, a game ahead of Arizona, and again, it just goes to show you how wild this conference is.
Upcoming this week, we've got Utah at Washington.
Yeah, wow. Cal playing Louisville out of conference.
A non-conference game there, Cal, Louisville. Notre
Yeah.
Dame, Stanford, non-conference game.
Non-conference game there. Yeah.
Let's go to our top 10 lists. Who's
Chad,
actually-
you forgot the Southwestern Conference.
Oh.
I don't even want to go there. Okay. The three of us voted top 10 list here for Christmas Eve 2025. We had a few honorable mentions that did not quite make the top 10, including Hofstra, Bowling Green, Stephen F. Austin. Got a little bit of love, did not make the top 10. But we had a two-way tie for ninth between Akron and Utah Valley, who we just
Valley
discussed
getting
there.
in. Yeah.
It's seventh place, two-way tie between Murray State and Illinois State, a pair of Missouri Valley Conference teams.
Yeah.
And they're tied for seventh.
And that'll become more clear as the season plays out.
Sixth place, Northern Iowa. That's three MVC teams in our top 10 already. We're only halfway through it. How about that?
Yeah, it's a good league.
At fifth, undefeated Miami, Ohio. Like we mentioned, bad injury.
Bad injury, yeah.
So we'll see what happens with them, see if they can find a way to overcome it. Tied for third, Belmont and McNeese. And how about that? Four of our feature conference, the Missouri Valley, all making the top 10 this week.
Five. We got five. Belmont. Oh, wait, just four. Just four.
Just four.
I can't count.
Unless there's somebody else above Belmont. I don't know if there is, but. Number two, UC San Diego finally falling off their perch as the number one under the radar team that they've been almost all season so far. Down to number two. And congrats to our new number one team despite not even playing a game this week. It's Yale.
Oh boy. Yeah, I mean that just goes to show you there's cupcake schedules and then there's just not scheduling at all and then Yale moving up by default.
Let's go to your final thoughts here. Sleeka, let me start with you.
It's going to be a silent week here, considering there's going to be very little games going on during the Christmas break. But you also look at conferences like the Missouri Valley and the Mid-American Conference. It's been a while since the MAC has been near the top, but they have a legitimate shot with the triumvirate of Miami, Akron, Bowling Green, and UMass could also be a bit of a dark horse, given that they're going to be in the conference for the first time this year.
Yep, absolutely. Griggs, you want to finish it out here?
Yeah, as I said yesterday, I missed the Diamond Head. I think we have 4 solid days with no college basketball. That's just sort of too much of a grip for me. What am I supposed to do? Like this holiday event, this holiday atmosphere that gripped the whole country is just gone now.
Well, you can watch some classic episodes of the Kyle Lamb Show.
Yeah, could
Kyle
do that.
Lamb. Oh, jeez.
Oh God, we need to resurrect that.
Oh,
Yeah,
on that
search for it
note,
if you haven't seen it. It was
on
fantastic.
that note, I do want to thank everybody for joining us. Wish everybody again a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. We will be back Monday night with another Hoops HD report. And I think New Year's Eve, our final show of the year, we'll be doing another Under the Radar, probably another early show that day. But on
Yeah.
behalf of John Sleeka, David Griggs, I'm Chad Sherwood. Thanks for joining us, and we'll talk to you real soon.
City sidewalks, busy